Welcome to the fascinating world of bees, creators of that sweet golden nectar we all adore, honey. Our journey begins with the heart of the honey-making process, the beehive. A marvel of natural architecture, the hive is a bustling city of activity divided into hexagonal cells of beeswax. These cells serve as nursery, pantry, and royal chamber. Within this structured society, each bee plays a critical role. The queen, the mother of all bees, is the heart of the hive. She's surrounded by worker bees, the all-female task force responsible for everything from housekeeping to foraging. Then we have the drones, the male bees, whose sole purpose is to mate with the queen. Each bee, irrespective of its role, contributes to the hive's overall success. Now that we understand the structure of a beehive, let's explore how bees gather the essential ingredient for honey, nectar. Bees are nature's little chemists, collecting nectar from flowers and transforming it into honey. But how do they do this? Let's take a closer look. Bees use a long straw-like tongue called a proboscis to reach deep into flowers and extract nectar. This proboscis is an ingenious tool able to extend and retract, allowing the bee to sip up the nectar like a straw. The nectar, which is a sweet liquid produced by plants, is stored in a special stomach called the honey stomach. This is separate from the bee's main stomach, so the nectar doesn't get digested. The bee continues this nectar gathering process, visiting between 50 and 100 flowers during a single collection trip. After gathering nectar, bees start the astonishing process of turning it into honey, but that's a story for the next scene. The process of turning nectar into honey begins inside the bee's body. As bees flutter about, flitting from flower to flower, they suck up the sweet nectar using their long straw-like tongues, also known as proboscis. But this nectar, it's not honey, not yet. It's simply the raw material, the first step in a process that's as fascinating as it is delicious. Once the nectar is safely stored in their honey stomachs, a separate compartment from their regular stomachs, the magic begins. Here, enzymes start to break down the complex sugars in the nectar into simpler forms. This process, known as inversion, is the first transformation. The nectar, once a sugary water, is now a more digestible substance for the bees, and it's on its way to becoming honey. But the journey isn't over. The bees then return to their hive, passing this partially digested nectar to younger house bees through a process called trophallaxis. This is not just a simple handover. As the nectar is passed from bee to bee, it's further broken down by more enzymes, continuing the inversion process. The sugar breakdown helps to increase the acidity and reduce the risk of bacterial growth. Then comes the evaporation. You see, nectar is about 70% water, but honey, it's far less, around 18%. To get to that point, bees fan their wings, creating a draft through the hive that helps evaporate the excess water. This process thickens the nectar, concentrating it into a substance we start to recognize as honey. Once the nectar is transformed, it's time for bees to store it in their hive, but that's a story for the next segment. For now, let's appreciate the marvel of nature that is the honey-making process. A testament to the industriousness and sophistication of these tiny creatures. Their ceaseless toil not only provides them with food for winter, but also gives us humans the sweet gift of honey. Bees store this transformed nectar in a well-organized manner in their hive. In a remarkable display of precision and teamwork, worker bees deposit this nectar into the hive's honeycomb cells. These hexagonal compartments, a marvel of natural engineering, are crafted by the bees themselves using beeswax. The beeswax, produced from glands within the bee's abdomen, is used to meticulously construct these cells. Each cell provides a tiny storage unit where the nectar is deposited, one drop at a time. As the bees move from cell to cell, filling each with the sweet, transformed nectar, they create a pantry of sorts, a larder for the colony to tap into when food sources are scarce. This process of storing the transformed nectar is an integral part of the honey-making process. A testament to the bees' industrious nature and their remarkable ability to work as a collective. But the nectar isn't honey just yet. There's one crucial step left: reducing the moisture content. The nectar stored in the cells is still too watery to be called honey. You see, for nectar to transform into the sweet, sticky substance we know as honey, its moisture content needs to be significantly reduced from about 70% to around 18%. So how do the bees manage this feat? They employ a rather ingenious method. The bees fan their wings over the open cells, creating a draft that encourages evaporation. This process is crucial as it not only thickens the nectar but also prevents it from spoiling. The bees' tiny wings are surprisingly powerful, capable of beating over 200 times per second. This rapid motion generates enough airflow to evaporate the excess water from the nectar. It's a meticulous process, one that requires time, effort, and a whole lot of fanning. And that's how our industrious friends ensure the nectar is just right for honey production. With the moisture content reduced, it's time to seal the deal. To protect their hard work from contaminants, bees cap the filled cells. This is a crucial step in the honey-making process. The bees use their glands to produce beeswax, a substance that is pliable and perfect for sealing off the honey-filled cells. Each worker bee is equipped with 8 wax-producing glands, located on the underside of their abdomen. These glands convert the sugar contents of honey into wax, which oozes through the bees' small pores to produce tiny flakes of wax on their abdomen. The bees then chew these pieces, molding them into a usable wax that forms the cap for each honey-filled cell. This wax cap serves a dual purpose. Not only does it protect the honey from outside contaminants, but it also ensures that the moisture level within the honey remains stable. The bees' meticulous work doesn't stop until each cell is perfectly sealed. Now that the cells are capped, the honey is ready to be harvested. Harvesting honey is a careful process that requires skill and respect for the bees. It's not just a matter of taking what the bees have worked so hard to create, but doing so in a way that keeps the hive healthy and ensures future honey production. The first step in the harvesting process is to don protective gear. This isn't just about avoiding stings, it's about creating a barrier between the beekeeper and the bees, reducing the risk of transmitting diseases or parasites to the colony. Once suited up, the beekeeper carefully removes the frames from the hive. These wooden structures are where the bees build their honeycomb, and each cell is filled with the sweet nectar we know as honey. Removing the frames is a delicate task. The beekeeper must be gentle to prevent damaging the honeycomb or harming the bees. It's a balancing act, a dance of sorts between the needs of the beekeeper and the temperament of the bees. Once the frames are removed, they're taken to a special area for the honey extraction process. This usually involves an extractor, a device that uses centrifugal force to spin the honey out of the comb. But before this can happen, the wax caps that the bees have meticulously placed over each cell must be removed. This is done using a heated knife or a special fork-like tool. As the extractor spins, the honey is flung out of the comb and collected in a reservoir at the bottom of the machine. From there, it's strained to remove any remaining wax or debris, and then it's ready to be bottled. Harvesting honey is a testament to the incredible work of the bees. Every drop is a product of thousands of bees and millions of flower visits. It's a tangible reminder of the intricate and vital role that bees play in our world. And there you have it, from flower to jar, that's how bees make honey. Bees are truly remarkable creatures, aren't they? Our journey through the intricate world of honeymaking has shown us just how astonishing these tiny insects are. From the moment a worker bee sets out to collect nectar to the final act of sealing the honey in a wax cell, it's a process that's as meticulous as it is fascinating. Let's recall, bees gather nectar using their specially adapted tongues, then store it in their honey stomachs. Enzymes within break down the complex sugars into simpler ones, transforming the nectar into honey. Back at the hive, the honey is deposited into honeycomb cells, where our tireless bees fan their wings to evaporate excess water. Only then is the cell sealed with a beeswax cap, preserving the honey until it's time for us to harvest. Thank you for joining us on this sweet journey. Remember to appreciate the hard work bees put into making honey, and stay curious about the natural world around you.